Welcome back to Spirit Squared. I'm Andrew Darrington, your host. Tonight we're here in Lindale, Texas at our favorite winery right down the road from us. And before we get started with our guest, we've got a few sponsors we want to recognize. We've got Rex Consulting, Red Construction, Holler Package Store down in Gun Barrel City. We've got Vault Arms, Humidor, and we've got TrueVine. TrueVine's our newest sponsor. Great brewery down in Tyler. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring us. Because of you guys, we have this cool equipment. Josh can drive around, I can drive around, and we've got this great content that we can create. So without further ado, tonight we're here at, and if I get it wrong, you can hit me, Valle della Pace.
Valle della Pace.
Valle della Pace. And we've got Don and Josh Clark. You guys are, or Don's really the owner. You're the worker,
everything,
do all, and all that good stuff. And you guys are right down the road from us. And I've just enjoyed so much seeing you guys flourish throughout the years. And we were at your first event that you had here and had so much fun. And we're going to talk a little bit about that event or those events that you guys do here in just a minute. But Don, let's talk a little bit about your background. You have a pretty decorated background. We have a kind of a common tie where I grew up in most of my life in Louisiana, and you did a lot of your studying in Louisiana?
I did. I grew up in Louisiana. Matter of fact, I grew up in just right outside New Orleans.
Okay.
Spent most of my growing up years there, and I went to college at LSU.
Yeah.
In Baton Rouge.
I love it.
And there I got my bachelor's degree in biochemistry, and then I decided to go on to get a PhD in biochemistry, and so that's what I did. So I spent 8 years at LSU.
Right, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out, like, you're in LSU, you finish your degree, and then how do you end up in Texas?
Yeah, that is okay. So after I got my degree, I did 3 years of postdoc studies. So I did 2 years in Tallahassee, Florida, at Florida State University in the biophysics department, and then I went across the country to Irvine, California, and did another year postdoc at UC Irvine. And so from there, as my mother would say, oh, you finally got a job, huh? After all these years being in school and then doing postdoc. Then I worked for a chemical company.
Okay.
On the other side of the coast again. This was in New Jersey.
You just keep going.
Yeah, called
east to west, east to west.
Right, called Roman Huss. And it was something about, after you get a PhD, after you've done 3 years postdoc experience, and then they put you in charge of kind of you're a lab tech. After 2 weeks being at Roman Haas, I figured that this isn't the job for me.
Right.
And I needed something a little more creative. So I actually wound up working with Roman Haas for about 1.5 years. Then I landed a job in Irvine, back in Irvine, California.
You're moving back? Sheesh.
And I worked with Allergan Pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
So first in the dermatology department, and became a director of pharmaceutical development with Allergan Pharmaceuticals. Then what landed me in Texas, actually was down in the Houston area, in the Woodlands. I joined a startup biotechnology company called Houston Biotechnology. And we were developing immunotoxins to be used at the time of cataract surgery to prevent a condition called after cataract. I ran the development department, and I was the vice president there for a development department. And we got into clinical trials, and unfortunately, the drug kind of petered out in phase 3 clinical trials.
Okay.
So phase 3 trials are your last clinical trials before
FDA
you
approval.
apply for approval of the drug. And we had some problems in some of the patients with the drug. So rather than going back to the drawing board and reformulating, I think it was the formulation that was causing the issue, not the actual drug itself. And the company decided, no, we're not going to do this.
Right.
And so they stopped development on the project. And anyway, from there, we were here in the Houston area. I got a job, well, not a job, I actually volunteered with Mercy Ships.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting. The Lord had laid on my heart for 6 years that I needed to be in missions. And I cried out to the Lord that I was going to be, Lord, you got to get me out of this. Now, I had the perfect job because I was working from my house. Our house at the time was a 2-story house, and we took one of the rooms. I made it my office, so I had an office there. I was running clinical studies all over the country and even in England with this product. And I had a secretary that would come in, and we would work together, and I did the regulatory and the clinical affairs for the clinical trials that we were running. I had the perfect job, but the Lord, was laying on my heart that, hey, I don't need you to be doing this. I need you to be doing something else. So I cried out to him for 6 years.
Wow.
Before I actually, an opportunity came open, and which freed us up to join Mercy Ships. I got an invitation from Mercy Ships to come on staff, and I was vice president of operations here.
Wow. That's right down the road.
At Mercy Ships. That's what brought us to Garden Valley.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a little bit about, not clinical trials, but in that arena. I was in the IVIG arena for a couple years. So that's, drip IVs.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, we would treat low immunization or immune disorders and injectables, basically. Mm-hmm. And my facility had to have an FDA certification. And if anyone is listening that's been through one, you know that it's a 3-day process, and you go through about 15 rolls of deodorant because it's intense. And you've got a lot of PhDs that are asking you a lot of questions about decisions you've made over the last 3 years. And then the German Health Authority, we had that audit. Mm-hmm. And it thankfully both went well, but it was a tough process. Yeah. So it's not a fun process, and it's stressful. And,
and even with our product, when we started development with our immunotoxin that we were developing, and I talked to the biologics division because our product was a biologic, they were scientists. But development takes an awful long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially new drug development. It can be 10 years. Yep. And this was probably 5, 6, 7 years into the process.
Right.
And by the time we got closer to potentially getting our product approved, the division was turned over to the chemistry division, and became bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And you couldn't reason with them,
Josh, eventually we'll get to you.
I'm here too.
Yeah. We'll get to you whenever it gets more current.
Yeah.
So
we're in the past.
Yeah. So you're at Mercy Ships, and then so how do we end up, from Mercy Ships to a winery?
Yeah, that's a very good question because
some of this information is on your website. I want to make sure that folks that are listening can go to the website because a lot of the story is told there, but I want to hear it from your words.
Mm-hmm. Well, my wife and I served Mercy Ships for 5 years, And then, I felt the Lord saying, okay, your time is up here. And we had a young couple at the time come to us and say, hey, can you help us start an organization, a nonprofit organization? And by this time I had a lot of business experience and regulatory experience. And so I said, well, yeah, we'll help you. We'll help you start your organization. And this is Orphan Relief and Rescue. And they help orphans basically abandoned orphans in Africa, West Africa. And so I started the organization. I said, hey, you can come under another organization that I was with, which was Sharing International. Said, you can come under Sharing International's banner. Let's see how you do. And within a year, it was obvious that I needed to form another 501c3 for them, and so that's what we did. We then raised up that organization. The founders were from the Seattle area and wanted to move the organization to Seattle. So my wife and I and two of our kids moved to Seattle, and we were there, they were there for about a year. After about a year, I came back here to the property with, my two kids and my wife, Andrea. And the first day that I'm back, I'm walking around the property, and I hear God say, I release you. And I say, you release me from Orphan Relief and Rescue? And he said, yes. I said, okay. So then I had the privilege or the pain, really, because we were close friends with the founders of Orphan Relief and Rescue. I had to call them and say, I think God wants us to do something else.
Yeah, now, I've been released.
I've been released by my father. So if my father releases me, you have to release me.
Right.
And so that was a tough conversation to have, but I worked out that, okay, I would come back and work for 6 months because I was the business person, right? Sure. And so I need to transition, the chief financial officer and the business person, so I had to transition all of that to somebody else.
Sure.
And so I worked there for another 6 months. But the following day, so that was on a Monday, the following day, which was Tuesday, I was walking around the property again, and I hear the Lord say, vineyard. And I say, what? You want me to start a vineyard? And he said, yeah. So I said, okay, well, I'll start, talking to Andrea about it and our kids. And by Sunday of that week, we had contracted with a small company to install the vineyard.
Did he not know it was a drought going on?
There was a drought. Our 1 acre pond, and believe me, vines take a lot of water. Right. Our 1 acre pond was completely dry.
Yeah.
The fish, we had so the 1 acre pond kind of, dwindled down to just a kind of a
puddle.
Big puddle.
Yeah.
And that dried up, and the fish all died, and Andrea and I looked at each other and said, well, I guess we got some fish to bury. So the next day we go out, all the fish are eaten.
Yeah, raccoons.
by the raccoons and the birds. So we didn't have to bury the fish, but here we are making this decision to install a vineyard, and we have no water in the pond.
Right.
And now, so we made this commitment to install a vineyard. It wasn't completely installed until November. Actually, when I came back, they were putting in the last vines in the vineyard, and the pond was completely full.
Wow.
So, the Lord was definitely in this, because if you walked by sight, you wouldn't have done it.
Right.
And it's one of those things where you say, okay, vineyard, that can't be too difficult. But I knew when I started the vineyard that it was going to take me 5 years to really learn how to manage it.
Yeah.
And it did.
If you are looking for a reputable builder with a proven track record and a client base to back it up, give Red Construction and Development LLC a call. Red Construction offers full design build services for new construction, custom homes, and remodeling with free site evaluations. They have an A+ rating with the BBB and are proud members of the Tyler Area Builders Association, Texas Association of Builders, National Association of Home Builders, and the Lindale Area Chamber of Commerce. Red Construction and Development LLC stands behind the exceptional quality of their work and have the expertise, the resources, and dedication to deliver the results you need on time and on budget. To learn more, give them a call at 903-630-8660 or visit them online at redconstructiondevelopment.com.
The Humidor is your online cigar retailing headquarters. Our experienced staff has spent years finding some of the best cigars from around the world to sell to our customers. If you're looking for an online cigar store that can help you find your next favorite smoke, welcome to the Humidor. We began the Humidor because of our deep appreciation of the finer things in life, a good conversation with friends, an aged whiskey, and, of course, a fine smoke. That's why, in addition to selling premium cigars online, we also operate a brick-and-mortar cigar lounge in Tyler, Texas. Our lounge is crafted to provide a classic ambience with modern sensibilities, and we've spent time ensuring that smokers and non-smokers have an enjoyable experience, whether they're there for a drink with friends or to enjoy the game.
Are you looking to optimize your drilling rig operations and maximize productivity? Look no further. Rex Consulting is here to power your drilling. With over 20 years of industry experience, our expert team provides tailored solutions that drive efficiency, safety, and profitability. From site assessments to cutting-edge technology integration, Rex Consulting is your trusted partner for land-based and offshore oil and gas drilling solutions. Ready to take your rig to the next level? Contact Rex Consulting today and send your operations to the next level in operational performance. Contact Josh Simmons at 918-637-9181. Rex Consulting, level up.
What was the significance of the name of the winery?
Well, this was when I had gone back to Seattle, and I'm thinking about all this, I'm praying about all of this, and the Lord put in my mind the Valle della Pace. So Valle della Pace means Valley of the Peace, and we live in Garden Valley, so that's where the valley came from.
Yeah.
And the peace is, I want people to experience His peace when they come to the vineyard.
Okay.
And so that's where it's God's peace is what I'm really referring to with Valle della Pace.
Gotcha. So something I noticed by the way, we're having the Cabernet, the whiskey barrel Cabernet.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about here in a little bit about some of your special releases that you've done. One of the things that I noticed about your labels, obviously you've got all of them are custom. You guys have artists that do these, but you guys have something pretty significant that's on all these stickers. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Are you talking about the gal?
No, I'm talking about the cross.
Logo.
Oh, the logo.
Yeah.
Okay, so the logo, well, I'm half Italian, and I lean more to the Italian side than I do to my Scotch-Irish side, maybe until we get whiskey, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I wanted some lettering that was done in an Italian style. So that's where the logo lettering comes from.
But you've got a cross.
And we have,
one,
so
right?
our logo has a vine and some leaves.
Yeah.
And then it has 3 leaves. So you could think of the 3 leaves as the Trinity.
Trinity.
Right? And then the bottom leaf the vein in the leaf is in the shape of a cross.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom of the leaf is a drop, and it's a red drop. It's not a drop of wine.
Yeah.
It represents the blood
Yeah.
of Christ.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. So you guys go live with a winery around 2013?
2014.
2014, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to you now. So this is gonna be good for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the complications initially. So
Oh, man.
you're open in 2014. Do we have the building by 2014? I think you do.
Yeah, we had
Which
that
you kind of
building,
used as like a tasting
kind of.
and a storage and a bottling area. Right?
At that time, it was just the winery, kind of.
Okay.
It was originally an apartment, basically. It was furnished, it had carpets. It was not,
That's right, you lived there.
yeah, for a little while. It was not a great place to have a winery. And actually, one of our first mishaps in 2013 was he had purchased a couple of barrels of Muscat juice, I think it was.
Just
And-
we'll roll with it. You got it right.
Yeah, Muscat juice. And one of them, I think he had opened it and then he had to go to a conference. And so he sealed it back up, didn't touch anything, didn't do anything. He came back several days later and the barrel had expanded, fallen over, and 55 gallons of juice had spilled and soaked into the carpet.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that began the renovation of the winery. We had to pull out all the carpet, which was not fun because it was glued to the ground. I spent, I don't know how many hours scraping glue and whatnot off of the floor before we finally got it into a condition where we could epoxy it, which is what it is now. So that was one of our major complications over there.
You've got a lot of family that work the business, that are whether they're working retail or they're doing some of the I'll call it distilling. It's got to be a challenge to have family work together, right? I mean, are there times where over the years it becomes challenging, or no? Is it always smooth sailing?
With family?
Yes. Yeah, it can be a challenge, as you said. It can be
Yeah.
a challenge. There can be conflicts, and we got to resolve the conflicts.
Or is it
the
easier?
difference-
Is it easier to resolve conflicts with family, or is it harder?
No, it's harder.
Oh, I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah, no, it's definitely harder to resolve because, I mean, you're family and
Yeah.
you still have to love each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And, it's a little harder. If you feel like, firing someone, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah. Are there times where you just say, hey, look, we need a timeout and we need to have a meeting or family meetings or something like that,
Oh,
Like-
we have meetings.
Kind of like
Yeah.
At Duck Dynasty, they have like all these conflicts and Cy has this and Willie has that. But at the end of the show, like they're eating together and they're like, oh yeah, telling stories and stuff.
Right.
That kind of how it works.
It can work that way, yes, absolutely.
Or everybody goes to bed and then next morning it's like, all right, everything's.
Not quite that fast, but
No, we try to resolve the conflict before we go to bed.
Yeah.
God says, don't let the sun go down on your anger.
Right.
So we try to follow that as much as possible.
Right. And from what I understand, part of the motivation of having the winery, beyond, what you were told to do, was that you would have a generational business, that you would see your, family members, it would be passed on, and it would expand and grow and things like that. Is that fair?
That's very fair, yes. It's a legacy.
Yeah.
It's part of, our legacy to our kids. Now, I actually would like to see, we have 7 children,
Yeah.
and I'd like to see more of our kids involved, with the winery and certain aspects of it.
Sure.
But I've got my son-in-law, I've got Josh.
You need me to be a kid?
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got a grandson working for us now.
Very cool.
And so, and we've got some folks from the community that help us out.
Anytime you need help, let me know. All right, so talk to me a little bit about sourcing. Because your vineyard, I know it's a pretty good sized vineyard, but nowhere can produce what your demand is.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit, and our listeners, a little bit about sourcing. And, obviously, depending on the offering, that depends on maybe the region or maybe the outpost that you guys reach out to. But talk to us a little bit about what that looks like.
Okay.
Ideally, we stay as local as we can.
Yep.
Don,
we'll let Josh talk about this for a second.
Yeah. We've gotten some grapes from Lindale. We've gotten some from Sulphur Bluff. We've gone all the way out to West Texas for like our Alianico grapes.
Yeah, really good. Underrated. Very
Yeah,
underrated.
no,
West
that one's
Texas.
fantastic.
Yeah.
We've gotten some from our friends over at Enoch Stomp. They provided us with Black Spanish. And varying other places. We have, unfortunately, had to go to California for a few of our wines. It's our shameful little secret. No.
I think that's...
For actually this particular cab we got from California, we weren't really happy with the selection of cabs that we had here in Texas. So we found a place out in California that had a nice...
Anything you want to add? I know you do.
Well, yes. The story is interesting because in 2015, I was working with a winemaker consultant at the time, and he said, if you really want to go commercial, you need to be producing 1,000 gallons, worth of wine a year. Now, we've gotten there, but in the meantime, we bought, at that time, 2015, we bought 3 1,000 gallon tanks. And so I needed to fill the tanks. And so I had to go to outside of Texas, and I wound up getting the Sangiovese actually from California in juice form. And then we got our Pinot Grigio from Washington State.
Love it.
That was the first time we outsourced our grapes. But we needed to have more of a variety of wines to be able to offer folks. So I think we got 17, 18 different types of wines now.
It leads me right into my next topic. Let's talk about your best sellers.
Okay.
So, obviously it's probably changed over the years. I've seen a lot of people migrate from sweet whites to reds, sweet reds to whites. And obviously with our climate, time of year plays a big factor in, the selling factor.
Sure.
So what are some of you guys, when you're looking at, I don't know if you look at stats or if you look at like, hey, we need to make more of this, or this is what we're selling a lot, or I'm sure you guys have consultations with your retail staff, like, hey, this is something that's hot right now. Or whenever. So talk to us a little bit about some of your best sellers.
Well, I think one of our top wines is our Sangiovese.
Okay.
It is, it's a nice, well, all of our wines, if our wines aren't smooth and flavorful, it doesn't get released.
Yeah, it doesn't make it to the winery, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make it to the tasting.
Yeah, it doesn't get bottled.
Yeah.
Something else might, but that has been rare that one of our wines haven't made it to the bottling stage.
Yeah.
But the Sangiovese is the top seller, the Pinot Grigio is the top seller, the our Blondie, which was our first wine that we made, was our Blondie. It's a top seller. Peaches, which is our sweet wine. It's a peach flavored wine. It's not a peach wine, but it's a peach flavored wine.
Right.
And it's sweetened up. We needed a sweet wine, and we had a lot of Blanc de Bois, which is what we make our Blondie and our peach wine with. And so I said, well, let's just make a peach wine. And so that's what we did. And then, since we've introduced the whiskey barrel, Cabernet, I mean, it is selling quite well.
And it's
Yeah.
been very popular for a new release.
Yeah, for sure.
And our Cab Reserve.
It's got a very balanced flavor. That's what we're having right now.
Yes.
And it's way more balanced than what you would find with like an Inferno or even the, what is it, the 30 barrel whiskey Cab or whiskey Merlot, where you get like a lot of heaviness. With this, it tastes like a Cab, but it's got more flavor.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelming is the point I'm trying
Yeah.
to make. And that's why it's so popular, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was trying to preserve more of the Cab flavor while also making it more smooth.
Yeah.
Bring out some more of the deeper, more intricate flavors that's in it.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a lot of testing and tasting throughout the whole
That's
aging process.
That's a
on
tough
that.
process, isn't it?
It's grueling.
It's grueling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, those days, I just,
Whiskey
By
and
the-
wine,
yeah.
I mean, it's got to be hard.
yeah, I mean, really got to twist my arm that day.
Correct.
You know?
It's chemistry, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just to say though, one of the reasons why our wines are so smooth is because we do a lot of tastings with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
do chemistry, of course. You know, I'm a chemist by training.
Correct.
So, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't taste good, I don't care if your chemistry's, perfect. It still, isn't going to be pleasing and not going to be a seller.
Vault Arms is your premier destination for all things firearms. Extensive selection of handguns, rifles, shotguns, and accessories. Knowledgeable staff to assist you in finding the perfect firearm to fit your needs. State-of-the-art gun range equipped with the latest technology for a safe and thrilling shooting experience. Take advantage of our professional shooting instruction and training programs suitable for all skill levels. Host your next group outing, corporate event, or bachelor party at our spacious and secure shooting facility. Committed to promoting responsible gun ownership and firearm safety. Fully licensed and compliant with all state and federal regulations.
Hey, podcast listeners, are you in need of some top-notch libations to elevate your next gathering? Look no further than Hootin Holler Liquor Store in Gun Barrel City, your go-to liquor store for quality drinks. From smooth bourbons to crisp wines and everything in between, Hootin Holler has one of the largest and most diverse selections in East Texas. Planning a special occasion? Let our experts guide you to the perfect bottle. You'll receive excellent customer service not offered in the big box chains. Visit Hoot and Holler today and let the good times flow.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the events that you guys have. You guys are a little bit more active than some other wineries I've seen, where you want to bring people together. You want people to show up to the winery to do things, whether that, and I'll let you guys talk about it. You guys have a wine club, which some wineries have, where you guys bring people together and have an event. And I've been to a couple of those. And then you guys have Bring Your Own Meat, which a lot of people don't know about that, or they don't.
Yeah.
Well, other wineries don't do it. And then you guys last year launched later in the year some of the live music stuff because you extended your venue. So talk a little bit about some of the events that you guys have set up kind of for this summer and fall.
Well, our longest running event is our Valentine's event, which is one of the
I've been there.
first events that
I
you
was
came
there on
to.
year one.
Yeah.
Your dad was there wearing Converse
Yep.
shoes. It was awesome.
Yeah, those were fun times.
And it was, I mean, I'll let you tell about the event, but we were there for the first one, and we've been there every year since. We haven't missed a year.
Yeah, we always look forward to that one because I know you're coming.
Yep, for sure. I'm gonna tell some stories.
yeah.
We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have some chocolate. We're gonna have some cheese. We're gonna have some crackers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell the whole story, but I'll let you. I mean, I'm trying to sell it here. It's a great event. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nobody offers anything like it nearby, and then you guys do a great job with the ambiance and.
We try to have a nice place for people to come,
Yep.
have a little conversation, enjoy some wine, some dessert, maybe some pizza if you want. Of course, that's a fairly recent offering, but yeah, we like it to be a nice, peaceful evening for Valentine's. And then beyond that, we've got, like you said, the bring your own meats that we try to do every month, where you bring your meat, we got grills, you grill it here, we provide potato, salad, the fixins and all that, some dessert, as well as live music. And we are trying to do more events like tasting classes where we teach you how to taste the wine, we teach you how to pair it with food, what you're tasting in the wine, the flavors that you might like or dislike, some of that. We also are trying to do like a special event, especially for like our wine club members, like a winemaker's dinner where you come, we serve you a nice dinner, you get to sit and chat with the winemakers, the owners and everything. And those we usually pair with Britt over at Britt's Wine and Dine in Kilgore. He makes the food and pairs it with our wine, and we've done one of those, and it was a great success, and we're looking forward to finding time to do another one.
Yeah, I mean, you're producing wine, and you also have a retail venue, and then you talked a little bit about, let's talk about the food side of things. You said bring your own meat. That's one that's very unique. Nobody else is doing that locally.
Yeah.
Where you can show up with a steak, hamburger, whatever, and then bam, you know, you guys are providing some of the sides, and a great venue with live music. I think that's awesome. But you guys now have food. Talk a little bit about some of the offerings that you guys have, because I don't think many people know about that.
Yeah, so we've got Italian-style flatbread pizza made locally. The flour comes from Italy. They're delicious. They come to us frozen, but they don't taste frozen. They taste fresh, vibrant. The ingredients are all locally sourced, and it's all delicious, really. They serve 1 to 2 people comfortably. We also have charcuterie boards, both large and small. And then we've got cheesecakes from Brian's Cheesecake in Mineola.
Very good. Yeah.
They're delicious.
For sure. All of it is. I mean, I haven't had anything. I have no negatives to say. My wife doesn't either. She likes everything as well. So, like, when I think about what you've got going, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but just for the folks that are listening, when you think about, like, hey, let's drive somewhere for, 20, 30 minutes outside of Tyler. Maybe I live in Canton, or maybe I live in Edom, and I want to, it's the summertime, it's the springtime, and I want to drive somewhere for 20, 30 minutes and have a glass of wine, and, oh, wait a minute, you got pizza, let's get some cheesecake. Like, this is the place. It should be the place on the list.
Hopefully, we're trying.
And then you can sit outside, you can sit inside. If you sit inside, you can, chat with somebody. If more of your vibe is sitting outside and having a fan on and listening to music, then that's your vibe. So you've got both, and you have pizza, you have cheesecake, and you got charcuterie boards. So I mean, literally, that touches everyone. It has to. Anybody and everybody who wants to come out. And then you've got, like you said, 17, 18 wines you offer. So it's like literally, you tell me what you like, and I'll steer you to that route, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the businesses that you guys have partnered with, so we can kind of scratch their back a little bit. So we've got a couple places. We have a place in Lindale, right?
Leo's. They're one of our oldest businesses that we've worked with. They've been with us for many years.
Many years.
And
they were one of the first where we got our wines into the restaurant. And people seem to love it because Lonnie, the owner of Leo's, which I've grown in having a relationship with.
Yeah.
They order regularly. I mean, if not monthly, sometimes more than once a month. But so we've got a great relationship with Leo's. And some of the other places that we have.
We're in Logan's in Mineola. the Mineola Country Club is a new venue for us.
Great new clubhouse. Beautiful.
Yeah. So I hear. I haven't been out there yet. I want to, but I hear it's beautiful. We're also in 3 Knocks.
Just moved to Wills Point.
Yeah, and they've had great success out there. They really. I've done a little bit of tastings over at their. Well, when they were in Van, I did some tastings and got some great feedback from people. Their steaks pair beautifully with our amazing Alianico.
Yeah.
As well as our Pinot Grigio does very well out there. And then we're in Texas Hops and Chops up in Sulphur Springs.
Oh, okay.
We've been up there for about a year.
Okay.
But yeah, they've also done very well up there.
Awesome. And then I hear you guys are working on something.
Trying to. It's a long
negotiations.
bureaucratic process.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're working on getting into Brookshire's.
The brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which would be huge for us.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And thankfully, I've had a couple people on that have gotten through that. You know, Texas State of Mind Coffee is one that comes to mind. That kind of just chipped away, and finally got in. And once you get in, I mean, it changes things.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to maybe get another couple 1,000-gallon vats to get things rolling.
Yeah, that would be perfectly fine.
Right? Okay, so something that you guys mentioned before we started the podcast was wine tours. That's not something that you guys have done previously, or do you guys do that? I mean, I've been given a tour.
Right.
It was more of like, hey, there's that there. You know.
Historically, we haven't really had a place to give tours. It was the winery and then the tasting room, and it was like, oh, you want a tour? Just go back there. It's
Here's where we bottle.
Yeah.
Here's where you sit. Here's our refrigerator.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Of course, now we've got
where you
this.
hide.
Yeah. Now we've got this beautiful new building that we've been working on for the past year, and we're really excited about it. It's.
I love the fact that it's like super clean. It's like a lab. It's a true lab.
I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, I know. And I love the water filtration area. That's like my thing. And then, you know, the sinks and the barrels and the still over there. I saw that. Yeah, and we'll get there here in just a second. But man, it's a great facility, and I think tours should be done. I mean, it's a fun time, and I don't know how you guys are going to launch that, but I'm sure it's going to be maybe a little more organic, where somebody's tasting it and saying, hey, you know, I want to see things, and then you guys, you know, may give that as a rotation of some kind. Are you going to integrate it maybe with, I know that you guys kind of do a flight of sorts, where you do, you know, couple samples that you do. It's either 5 or 6, right? Samples-wise?
6 tastings, and you get to keep your glass, bring it home.
Right. And it's very reasonable.
Yeah, it's only
Like
$18.
Yeah, 6 samples. Get that. Let's make that clear. 6 samples, and then your glass.
Yeah.
Of course, after 6 samples, you're more than likely going to want one of the glasses. And then what better time to potentially take a tour if someone's available to give that tour? I'm assuming you guys will have some folks that are set aside for that if it's available, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk about what you guys have on the horizon, right? So I've been privy to a couple of samples of some spirits, which ties in well with our podcast name. So I've been privy to some brandy and some limoncello. Talk to me about that. Like, why do you want to open that door, and where are we at on the stages of making this happen?
Well, the brandy and limoncello both play well into the Italian theme. Of course, grapes, and the brandy comes from the grapes, and the limoncello is popular, incredibly popular in Italy. Maybe one day we'll do some grappa. I don't know.
Oh,
it's
boy.
more difficult, but
The limoncello is popular with Spirit Square, trust me.
yeah, yeah. So we're trying to open up new avenues of new markets that we can get into. Plus, it gives us a place to get rid of some wines that might go off, or where that would otherwise just get poured down the drain.
Right.
We are able to distill it. Of course, we originally got the still to distill wine down into brandy to put in our port.
Okay.
So that's where we originally kind of opened that door. And then once we got the still going, we had some nice brandy. The ports were all going. We had some extra. I convinced him to get a little 5-gallon barrel, and we aged some brandy, and that turned out beautifully. And actually, that's what's in this little bottle. And so that aged for about a year and a half in a small American oak barrel. And that one I've proofed down to about 45%, and it tastes beautiful. It's very smooth. It's got some nice caramel maple syrup notes to it, and it's got a nice, lovely light nose. But yeah, I personally am the one who kind of runs the still and have been pushing that whole side of the business.
So where, hold on, you got us full in anticipation. Where are we at on this? Like, where are we close on brandy? Are we close on limoncello?
Well, we almost started the brandy last year, but we got involved with the building project, and that was consumed all our time.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Between design and, out trying to figure out, okay, what do we want to do? How do we want to set all this up? So now we have a facility that we can do some of these extra things in. One of the things that bothered me from the very start was we were making wine, and we had to move everything out of our tasting room.
Oh, I remember those days. There were a few times where I spent a little time in those refrigerators.
And we don't have to do that anymore, so that's, it's been great. And we've actually, Josh had started a couple of batches of mead, because we ran out of our blueberry mead.
Okay.
So we've expanded past just the grape wine into honey wine, which a mead is a honey wine, so it's made with honey instead of grapes. And so this is kind of a natural extension. It's treated differently by the regulatory agencies.
Yes, sir.
So we've got to get regulatory approval first before we can offer the brandy, for example. But the limoncello fits very, very nicely with our Italian theme, and that's what is kind of driving this forward. So we've recently got some equipment to upscale our distillation processes, and we should now be able to submit, some permits for getting this process going.
We just have to find
no
some
time.
No, yeah, well,
I'm joking. I know how that works. Trust me, I
and
understand
some
about
of that,
permits.
even if we filed tomorrow,
Yeah.
we got to rely on the federal government and the state government.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100%. And you're on their timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me, I'm going through the permitting process with a store in Lindale, so I get it, signage and sidewalks and egresses and all that stuff, so it happens. All right, so we'll say unknown at this time, but.
Well, I mean, hopefully we can get this done this year so we can.
Oh,
have an
ideally.
offer.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Limoncello first.
Probably brandy first,
Okay,
and then
brandy first.
limoncello after that.
Yeah.
And maybe a small batch, like small batch brandy?
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Gotcha. Cool. I look forward to that. I'm going to be your biggest fan.
There you go.
And everybody should be big fans. All right. Something else we talked about prior to the podcast was potentially expanding your footprint into a tasting room. You guys are starting to look at some properties that are outside of, or inside and outside of Glendale, right, to expand your footprint?
Yeah, outside of Glendale, actually, and we have a opportunity that's been offered to us in Mineola.
Okay.
And so we're seriously looking at that. So if everything, goes smoothly, we could have another tasting room in Mineola.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I know Kippersaw used to have one right there on Highway 69 and I-20, just south of I-20. And it was pretty successful. I mean, and I'm not, obviously that's just an example. So
Right.
Tasting rooms are pretty popular for folks, especially depending on hours of operation and things of that nature, and how it's set up and all that good stuff. And I kind of have an insider knowledge of kind of what you guys are looking at, and it's a great property. So I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys get what you want as far as a partner or or whatever you guys are desiring in that property. And if it's not that property, then I'm sure you'll find something better, or the same. Cool. We've kind of covered everything, unless you guys have anything that you guys want to cover. I mean, we're kind of to the shout out zone. We talked a pretty good bit. I mean, we've covered like everything that I had here lined up. I mean, we didn't talk about one thing. We didn't talk about Lindale. We have a wine event in May.
Right.
We need to make sure we cover.
The Piney Woods Wine Fest.
Yes. So we have Piney Woods Wine Fest in May. You guys are the slushy kings in that. I mean, I'm saying your wines are great, but the slushies, you can't make them fast enough.
We have lines, people waiting. Yeah. We've had people wait 4 hours just to get a slushie.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, once we start pouring the slushie, it goes within 15, 20 minutes. And then it takes another hour and a half to get it to slush up again, because it's not a quick process in the heat.
Well, it was like one year is like super hot, and then there's one year that it was raining. But nonetheless, I mean, your tent is normally very full, especially for the slushies and the other wines you have. And it's a nice event that we have. I mean, a lot of cities and towns don't have that. And it's on Mother's Day weekend, right? It's on May the 10th? I think it's May 10th.
Yes.
Yeah. So Saturday, May 10th. Because it's the same weekend that they're having Red Dirt.
Yeah. It's Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday, so 9th and 10th. Yep. Very cool. And I don't like it doesn't cost that much to go to that, or if anything, right?
No, I think VIP tickets are $35.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I think that's a VIP ticket.
We can add the link whenever we get it.
Yeah.
We get it lined up. I mean, but that way people know like how they can sign up. And I know they look for volunteers, but for the most part, I'm not a volunteer. I'm just going to go there.
You're a participant.
I'm a participant. Correct.
Right. And with the Piney Woods Wine Trail, we have now over 20 wineries in the wine trail.
Wow. Didn't know that.
And so there should be at least 20 wineries represented.
Nice.
So, and where else can you go to taste that many different wineries?
Yeah.
One location.
The one thing I remember is like all the different flavors and different kinds of. It's the first time I ever tasted like a jalapeno wine. But I mean, you get to sample it. Well, at least it was $1 last time I went for a sample. So I mean, I think that's going to be.
It'll probably be the same.
That's a great value for a sample of wine from a variety of different areas that's sourced from a lot of different areas and stuff. So very cool. All right. Shout outs.
Shout
outs. I'm gonna start with Josh because I think Don's probably got like 2 or 3 in his head.
Well, one shout out I'd like to make is to to Honey Apple Farms,
Okay.
who are our apiary. They provide all of our honey for our meads. We've got the blueberry, which we touched on briefly. We've also got our cherry mead. And then in this vat behind me is our more traditional mead that's going to be kind of a port-style fortified mead aged on oak. And but they provide all of our honey. They're fantastic. They're local in the Ben Wheeler area.
Nice. Okay.
And she just opened up her store in Canton called Everything Honey.
Okay.
So,
Very cool, man.
yeah.
Appreciate that shout out. What about you, Don?
Oh,
Ti-
what about me?
Yeah, go Tigers. You gonna say go Tigers?
Yeah, go Tigers. No, I'm not going to say go Tigers, but, okay, so I had mentioned a couple of organizations as we kind of got into this podcast. One, Orphan Relief and Rescue, we still are, like I said, quite friends with them. Sharing International, they are a media training organization, international media training organization.
Mm-hmm.
So help to, for example, if a pastor in Africa, let's say, says, hey, I'd like to start a radio station, but I don't have equipment and I have no knowledge on how to do that. Sharing will come in there, partner. We have a partner that we partner with for the equipment. We come in with professional trainers and teach them exactly how to not only run the station, how to do news broadcasts and anything that they need, we will provide. And then I will shout out that I do have a podcast on Tuesday mornings on brokenroadradio.com.
Okay.
And we typically cover something in science,
Right.
and I bring it back down into creation, so it's creation oriented. Now, for the past several months, we've been going through, however, the book of Daniel. So we're in picking up, we're almost finished the book of Daniel. Maybe we'll finish this next Tuesday, but with the chapter 12 of Daniel, but that's been a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Appreciate that. I love that part of the podcast. There's not many podcasters that do like a shout out at the end, and appreciate you guys' passions and I love the fact that we have 6 or 7 entities that support us and sponsor us to do this, because otherwise I don't know if we would have made it to 50 episodes. Like we're almost 2 years in. June will be 2 years, which is crazy because I remember meeting Josh at the Beckham Hotel, and I just pitched it to him, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So he went on a limb, and it's been an awesome ride. We've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot and gained a lot of value through folks like you yourselves. So it's been super cool. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Hopefully you guys had a good time.
Oh,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is episode, what is it, episode 48 or 49?
I think 48.
48, okay. Well, our next podcast is going to be with the Relax Lab. I was taking a look real quick at Lloyd Luther's. We're going to learn a little bit of, what's the salt therapy that they do? I'm putting you on the spot. What is it called? It's like levitation therapy or something.
Salt bath.
Salt bath, yeah. We're going to learn a little bit about that, and massage therapy and all that good stuff. So looking forward to that, and thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.